Okay, starting recording started,
Yes.
and you can go in the presentation mode and we can go ahead.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Hi, everybody. This is Jeet Mehta. Hey, first of all, Raj, thank you so much for arranging this and giving this opportunity. So just to give you all about my background is I'm an IT professional. I'm not an investment professional, but then this is just my hobby and interest that I've been all the different tools and investment. I've been knowing this from last more than a decade or so, and I do use it in my trading. And then so when I'm discussing with Raj, we came up with this, hey, you know what? There's still so many people who are not aware of this instrument. So I thought this is a good opportunity where I can share what I know. But of course, we'll go with some of the disclaimers here, right? What are the, for example, here options involve risks and they are not suitable for all investors. Hope you guys know. I'm assuming that we have all kind of audience who know nothing about option and who know something about option, right? So I just want to cover everybody here. Second is, and you can see all this, right? No statement or strategy discussion within the website should be construed to provide investment advice or as an endorsement, recommendation, or solicitation to buy or sell a security. Any strategies discussed here, including examples using actual securities and price data, are strictly for illustrative and educational purpose only. And the last is, as you all know, past performance is not a guarantee of future results. So please take care. And again, may I know, like among the audience, anyway, I think there's no way we can poll, right, Raj, that how many people are trading or not, or they're just for, really wanted to implement. I mean, anyway, when we open up for Q&A, we can go over that.
Sure.
So here's the agenda. This is like option 101 only geared for beginners, right? So this is because option is a topic where you can learn for weeks and months and still you may not be expert. So I would like to clear that this is not an easy topic to learn. So again, this is only geared for beginners who doesn't know anything about option, and we are trying to bring them on board, and then they can start from there. So let's go over some basics. So I'm assuming that everybody knows about stocks, but then we can give an example about why do we need options, and here the option is it's a kind of a derivatives, right? This derivatives is nothing but it has to have some underlying asset underneath, right? So in this case, stock options have an underlying asset which are stocks, right? Which could be ETF. Similarly, there's a futures option. They have underlying asset which are futures, right? So here we will only focus with stock options, yeah. And what is option? Option is a contract between buyer and seller. So again, buying part, that's what we will plan to cover. Selling part is a bit risky, and it's more comes under advanced option category. But we'll touch it later partially. So in this case, options, what it does, it options the contract. So it gives the buyer the right, but not the obligation, to buy or sell the underlying asset, which is stock here, at a specific price on or before a certain date. And we will go over this multiple times. Don't worry if it doesn't resonate in one or two times. Right? Okay, options, the people who are option holders, they don't have any voting rights like stocks holders. They don't get dividends. Stock options contract, they typically represent 100 shares of the underlying stocks. So for example, if you have one Apple option, right, it means it represents 100 stocks, 100 shares of Apple. So what are the different types of options? There are two types, right? One is calls and other is put. Call, so what is a call option? So I also take some help, from Investopedia. I would recommend you guys to go over that. And there is a amazing place reference for the CBOE, Chicago Board of Option Exchange, where there are hundreds of tutorials you guys can learn option at your own pace. And we can always talk again if you have any question. So in this call, so what do you mean by calls option holder? Okay, so it gives the holder the right to buy an asset at a certain price within a specific periods. It's like having a long position on the stock. So what it means is you are betting for the market to go up or for that particular option to go up in that during that period, whatever the period you have bought for, right? So let's say the option which is expiring next month or next quarter, you are expecting that your stock should go up high, during that period. Similarly, for the put is reverse of calls. Here in this case, even though you are the holder, you have a right to sell an asset at a certain price within a specific period. It's like shorting a stock. I don't know if you're shorting a stock or not, but in this case, what happens is we can, in shorting stock, we short the stock. It means we betting the stock to go down and we get benefited from it. This is a similar concept here. So when you buy this put, you are expecting that that particular stock should go down within that expiration period. All right. If you look here, there are a couple of more things. Here, options are different from stocks in that they do not represent ownership in a company. And here I make some changes. So this, I would say, options has higher level risks than stocks because you can. It's not easy because what happens is people, when they're in the loss in option, they don't cut the losses. They just keep it, assuming that the option will go up again and then I'll come out in profit. And it may never happen till the expiration date, and you may lose 100% option money. So I would say it has way higher risk than buying of stocks, because stocks is like until companies goes bankrupt, you still have a chance that stock will come up at some point in some later point of time and you can recoup your losses, but not in options. These are some of the basic option terminologies I just want to go over with. And then again, if you don't understand, it's fine. Just keep this in mind, and then we'll repeat some of the terminologies in the in the upcoming slides. The first is strike price. Strike price, what is strike price? It's a price at which an underlying stocks can be purchased or sold. So again, we'll look at the example, just stick with it. Expiration date, what is expiration date? It's the last date by or on which option holder. So let's say you are a call option holder. You can exercise the right to buy or sell the option. Sell is more for the people who are selling the option or writing the option. Again, that's a bit advanced. So options are usually weeklies and monthlies. So some companies, they have a weeklies option. Some companies, they have a monthly option, and even the S&P index option. In fact, they are more than few times a week. So, it's very, very liquid. Intrinsic value. What's intrinsic value? It's the amount by which an option is in the money. And we'll talk about in the money later. Think like it's a core value of the stock. Time value, what is time value? It's a possibility of an option increasing in the value till the expiration date. And again, you're hoping that my option should go up if you're a call holder during the time. That's kind of a time value, and there are few things which are part of it. We'll discuss later. Premium is, so this is a premium you pay to buy an option. That could be a call, or that could be a put. And what are the factors which are determined? This is determined by the stock price, volatility of the stocks, and days till expiration. So these are the few important factors you have to keep in mind when you buy an option. And again, we'll continue discussing in the further slides. So in short, premium equal to intrinsic value plus time value. All right, let's move on. So in moneyness, so these are again terminologies of options. So these are three different ways you can buy options. So let's say you're buying a car, right? We'll mostly think about for the market to go up, as a well-wisher of the market. So there's an option in the money. First of all, what are all these, right? So these are the relationship between the strike price and the current price of the underlying stock. So again, we'll talk about an example about this. Think about this Apple is around what, 270, right? So think like this: if any option, if I'm buying with the strike price below 270, is an option in the money. And again, we'll talk those example.
Ajit, Apple is 310.
Oh yeah. Okay. Good, thank you. Again, this is not Apple is, you never know, yes, changing. So thanks, Raj. And put option, so call option, in this case, what's happening is underlying stock price, which is Apple here, which is 310, is greater than strike price. So if I'm buying the strike price of 300, which is, lesser than the stock price, right? So that's for the call option. Put option is stock price is 310 here, less than strike price. So here strike price could be 320, 330, 340, anything which is above the stock price are in the money for the put option. Options after the money, again, in this case, you can see that's it's a reverse of in the money. So pretty much you can reverse both things, call and put. And at the money is nothing but if you're buying the Apple at 310, then you are buying the option at the money, which is underlying stock price is equal to strike price.
So before we go ahead,
Yeah.
if you go back to that slide,
Mm-hmm.
So here in the money, out of the money, on an average, which one is the most bought or sold or put or call options in the market? Any rough idea? I'm not asking exact. I was estimating out of money, right? But
Out of the money is the one where people try. The reason why, because in the money options are very expensive to buy, and you really need to have a good amount of money. I mean, I would say, again, I'll give an example for Apple stock, right? To buy 100 stock of Apple, I mean, that's a whole huge amount of money, right? $31,000 you need. But in the money, you maybe need, let's say, $5,000 to buy some options in the money. I would say 3 to 5,000. But whereas in out of the money, you can buy more options in out of the money. So I think people, what they do is when they buy option, they mostly buy out of the money or near the money, thinking that option will go up in that period of time, in a month or two, and then they will come out with a profit. So you're right, Raj. Your guess is correct. Most of the people, they buy after the money. And then second favorite is the option at the money. This is more for, I would say, people who have more money and they want to, and there are many reasons why also people do that. When people do the covered calls, we'll talk about that. And then option in the money is, that's another part of the covered call. We'll talk later.
Do you mind giving a quick example of what how option in money and option out of money mean?
Yeah. So I think in the later slide, I think I have a few examples for you guys. Okay. Yeah. So these are just a term you just keep in mind. You don't have to remember anything right now. Yeah. And then we'll talk about the examples in the later slide. So 4 type of participant, right? So we are buyers. Buyers are the beginners, right? In the option. So we are the option holders, buyers of the calls and buyers of the put. And we are not obligated to buy and sell. What it means is we can always exercise our call and options before the expiration date or on the expiration date. Okay, this is advanced topic where you are writing the calls, you are writing the puts. So those are called option sellers or option writers. They're complicated, riskier, obligated to buy and sell. So pretty much you nearly, I would say, once you are comfortable with buying, after some period, then you can think about learning about this writing the options. This is again a quick way I wanted to show you what the different option means and what are the risk factors, right? When I say selling the option, why they are so risky, right? I mean, this is the slide will tell you. So we'll go over the buying first, right? Long call and long put. Long call, long put means we are buying. We are buying the call here and we are buying the put here. As you can see that from the graph of long call, we are buying, we have a limited loss, but we have unlimited profits. So let's say I'm buying the Apple, for example. Let's take it's a good example, right? 310, it's a stock price. So, but let's say one option costs me $1,000, right? So think like this, then this option price is 1,000, right? And then strike price is, let's say I bought out of the money, which is, I would say 330. I'm just making up, okay? So 330 is Apple's strike price, and I'm paying $1,000. So, so Apple has to go up what? 331 and above to break even. And anything beyond that is your profit. But if Apple doesn't touch 331, you are in the loss, because so that's a long call. Okay. Similarly, you are doing it for the put, where you are betting for the stock to go down, and you can see there's a limited loss and unlimited profit. 1 minute. Just want to make sure that.
I think that's right. Unlimited profit till zero, but stock never goes to zero.
Yeah. Sorry, somebody's unmuted. Okay, so this is like buying the put, right? So unlimited profit till the zero. So again, profit is much more, but loss is limited. So again, buying call and puts are preferred. Here you can think that writing a call, you can look at here, unlimited loss, unlimited profits. So again, writing a put, unlimited loss till zero, till the stock becomes zero. No, it has limited profit. So again, just keep in mind this slide. And I can share with you guys later. So no worries about the slide. Okay. All right, we'll move on and we'll go over some examples. Why use options? I think you guys know. I can make it quick forward. First is speculation. We want to speculate. We want to use the leverage, right? As we talk about it, for buying the Apple stock, we need $31,000. Instead of that, we can play with 100 stock of Apple with few $1,000s, right? So which is a huge leverage. With every leverage, with every power, you have comes responsibility, right? So you have to be responsible how to use that leverage, because it can give you a lot of money, it can wipe you out. So that's why you have to be cautious when you're buying options or selling options. Buying options, you wish stock price to go up. In the buying put option, you wish stock price to go down. Hedging is another strategy people use. This is for the people who are buying options, but then they're thinking that for the next few months, the market will be volatile and market may correct, maybe 10, 20%, right? So this is another hedging strategy people can use, where they can buy the puts to limit the downside risks in your portfolio. That's one way. Or you can, and if you're an advanced option, then you can sell the call. So again, we'll talk about covered calls. I'm going to cover that, so that we should know how to hedge our current portfolio. So these are two ways you can hedge: one, buy put; second, sell calls. Okay. So let's talk about how the option work, right? And again, this for the beginners who never did the option. So that's why I'm assuming that we have all kind of audience here. So let's say take one call option for a gaming company called GameX. It's a fictional company. Current price is on May 1st is $67. On strike price, July 70 call. That's a call we want to buy. So May, June, July, right? 3 months in advance, right? We are buying that call, which is good, right? Always your call, you should never buy a call for the same month. Never. I'll never recommend that. In fact, I'll never recommend to buy the option within 2 months. And this is based on my experience. Again, it's not investment professional advice. And yeah. So premium on May 1 is 3.15. What it means is you will pay $315 to buy that option. Premium on, think about this now, we bought this option, we paid this premium $315, right? Let's fast forward 3 weeks, May 21. Come May 21, hey, the stock jumps up at 78. Great news, right? Because it's above 70. Now let's think about your profit here in this case. So the option price become 8.25. So when you say 8.25, the 8 is the intrinsic value. Why is intrinsic value? Because 78 minus 70. So we subtract stock value till minus strike price. Strike price is 70. So we have $8 intrinsic value and 0.25 is the time value. That's how the option value is 8.25. But anyway, for us, we are in profit. We don't care. We'll just, if I am a stock option holder, I will go and buy. I'll sell my option and I'll take the profit. I will not wait for the last month. I'll not wait for the June or July. I mean, if I'm getting, let's say if I have a goal of making 20-30% the option, or maybe 50% the option, whatever your goal is, right? You just achieve their goal, and once they hit it, you just start taking the profit. Because sometimes people wish, hey, it become double, triple. and come June, they will lose their, not only their triple become double, double become single, and then they start going to the negative, and then the premium, they start eating up the premium. So it's very easy. It's very easy not to sell, not to take profit. That's where it will come with the experience, comes with the learning. That you have to play with the real money. Then only you will realize it. Okay, we'll move on. So expiry date. Imagine that you keep the option for 3 months, well wishing that it will go up to 90, 100, right? You can always wish for the best. So, but what happened? What stocks become 62 on July, the expiration. So every third week of the month, the stock option get expired, right? Every third Friday of the month. So in this case, the stock price is 62. So what happened to our option price is worthless. I mean, option is 0. Contract value is 0. I mean, we pretty much lost what? The whole premium we lost, $315 we lost. So we had an opportunity to come out with a profit, but we became greedy. We kept it. We kept it, it became 90. Why should I take it out? And then again, some news came, some earning came out, and it became 62 by the time option got expired. So this is one example. Maybe if anybody has any question on this example, maybe we can open up to the audience. Only for this slide.
I have one, Jeet. This is Raj here. So you calculated this.
I see a lot of disturbance.
Is it clear now?
Maybe we should do in the end.
Okay.
Raj? Okay. I think we can continue then. I see a lot of disturbance. So, all right. So this is the way when you buy an option, you should know how to read the option table, right? So you are right, Raj. 310, perfect. So we take the example of our favorite stock, Apple, and so let's go over this, right? I hope that some of people might know, some people might not know. So I'll go over some of the terms which you should know. So what I did is I pull up this from the latest yesterday, this chart, and then you can see that these are the contract. These are different contract. You can see the Apple year, month, date, right? And this is the strike price. So you can look at the strike price 300, 2. So the bigger the stock, you may not see the strike price at every dollar point, right? You may see strike price at 302. But if the smaller stock, which is $40, $50, you may see a strike price of, let's say, 40, 41, 42, 43, right? With that incremental. So depending on the stock. So here, this is the price, last price. So this is kind of a price you might pay to buy the Apple option. And bid and ask, you might know, ask is the one which you usually ask to pay for it, and then the bid one is the one which asks to sell, right? So this is a price you can sell immediately in the market, and this is a price you can buy immediately from the market. This is change, percentage change, option percentage change, and you can see here this is volume of the option contracts happen in the latest session. These are the open interest, which means these open contracts have not been fulfilled yet. They're still in the market as an open order. Implied volatility is a way, is an indicator which you can use. What it means is this is a way to find out how much Apple is volatile right now, and then how much Apple, what's the percentage of an Apple stock to go into the money. So, for example, options expiring next week, right? In this case, this is May 15, right? Which is after 5 days. So it will tell you the example of it is 27% chance option will end up in the money. So the more you buy in the money, you pay, of course, the higher premium, but your chances of staying in the money is higher. So that's an advantage of the implied volatility. But then there's another indicator which you might see, historical volatility. And for the advanced stock players who are here, they can also look into the gamma, theta, vega, right? I mean, which are out of the scope of this tutorial. But then just want to let them know that they can research and they can find out about those terms. Let's move on. So what are the risk factors? I think we talk about some of the risks, right? When you buy it's a very highly leveraged instrument. It's like playing with the fire. You should know how to play with it. The fire can damage you, and fire can also cook the food. So it's up to you how you play with the fire. The time-sensitive investment. The short-term options are the faster time decay, and that's why I was recommending that, since because of time sensitivity is one of the statistics is that when the option has the 30 to 45 days in expiration, right? That the time decay is way faster for the option. It means you have to be really good about your judgment of moving the stock, or about your notion of is it going to up or down. Otherwise, you will lose money to the time decay. Pressure to determine the stock direction is magnitude and timings. See, the good part is for the stock that we can always keep it. For example, I'll give you the example of, let's say, Tesla, Apple, right? I mean, Tesla is not for even the stock is not even for the easy. It really need a brave heart to buy Tesla, right? Or keep the Tesla. The reason why, because it can go up 800 in a month or so, and again another month it can be 400, right? So again, it's a different stocks have different volatility. You should know. But then for the option buyer is better, because we love volatility, right? As long as you are able to chip in and then buy the option at the right time and then play with it for and then get some profit out in a week, 2 week, get out. That's the strategy you can apply in the option. So if you buy an call an option here, your downward potential is the premium that you spend on the option. We saw that in the slide earlier. If you sell a call, there's an unlimited downside potential. If you sell a put, the downside potential is limited to the value of the stock. It means the stock can go zero. For example, if you buy a stock which, let's say AMD, which is around what, 50 something, something happens because of coronavirus. I know that there are some companies that went down. I was really sad about this news. The Soup Plantation, one of my favorite restaurants, it went under because of the coronavirus situation. Think about their stock. Think about, it's pretty much going to be bankrupt and it's going to be zero, right? So somebody is selling a put, they pretty much lose all their money. Leaps are preferred. I would say leaps are anything which is beyond 6 months and onward, or they could be even end up in years. So let's say leaps options are good. These are the long-term call options, long-term put options. What you do is, in this case, is you buy leap for next year expiration for Apple, for example, right? For 2021, you buy some leap call option, or you buy some leap put option for some company which you think during this coronavirus situation may not do well, right? And it may having the bad earnings going forward. So these are some of the examples. Pretty much, this is one of the last thing I want to present before we like to open up. So this income generation, I think we can do if we have an option, if we have a stock. So this we can do recurring income using the covered calls. So covered calls, what are covered calls, right? So covered calls is a popular option strategy which used to generate income from investors who think stock prices are unlikely to rise much further in the near term. So I would say those are, I also made a point here, those are good for the stocks which stays in some kind of a range, right? So we can talk about the range of, I'll take one of my favorite stock, AMD. I know that AMD used to have a range of earlier in 40s. Now the range is going up because stocks are going up. In 50s now is going up to late 50s. But I've seen that the stocks is in the range of, let's say, mid 50s to mid 40s, right? That's the kind of a range. It will play with for some time and it will break up and again it will create another range. So if you have a AMD stock, let's say 500 stocks, right? So what you can do is you can sell covered calls against the stock. So you can sell 5 covered calls or 3 covered calls. I mean, because what happens is in covered calls, when you sell, you are selling against the long stocks you are holding in your portfolio. So let's say if they are being called, you pretty much let go your stock, right? Because your stock get called. So what you can do is you can buy again, right? It's not a big deal, right? So let it go. I mean, you don't have to be attached with those stocks, right? You can always buy when they are down. So what are the limitations of the covered calls? Covered calls limits the investor's potential upside profit. So, for example, for AMD, right? We'll take that example. So I stock is around 55. I think I have an example. So I sell the covered call at 60 because I think that in a year, AMD should not go more than 65, right? That's my take. Okay. So let's see how it goes. So I buy an option, I sell a covered call at 60. So I'm thinking, and which is around $4 premium, right? So with the $4 premium, I'm even after a few months, let the AMD become 70, right? So what are my profit here in this case? So my profit is $400 I'm keeping as a premium. Second is I'm selling at 60. It means my stock will go up to 60. 60 plus 4 is the premium. 60 plus 4, 64, right? So I am covered of my profit till 64, right? So that's what I meant when I said it was the limited upside profit. So once AMD becomes 70, 80, 90, 100, you are missing that part. That's limitation. But then again, if you're not greedy enough, I think it's giving you way more than normal S&P. Which also not offer much protection if the price of the stock drops. So what it means is, let's take the same example. If I sell a covered call, 55 AMD, right? With the next earning, it went down to 35, right? And so I'm not what I'm covered, right? I sell the premium. I got it for $400 as a premium. So 55 minus 4, 51. I'm covered up to 51, right? Till the drop of $51. But if it drops more than that, I'm in loss. So that's what it means, that it will only cover up to some protection till the premium. So that's what this is the graph of the covered calls for your risk and reward. I think we discussed about the AMD stock. So pretty much, I think that's about it. Thank you, guys. And I think we can open up for the forum if you guys have any question on any of the slide or.
Thank you, Jeet. Hello, can you hear me clear? Hello.
I see a lot of disturbance, so let me change the mic here so
Hey,
that
is it good now?
we can talk.
Or still a disturbance? Hello.
Maybe let's do one thing. If anybody has question, can they write the question in the chat and the Raj can ask those questions? How about that? If it's easier that way.
Hi, can you hear me? I think it's really good. Thanks for organizing this, everyone, and Jeet and Raj. I just wanted to ask if if I understood correctly. You said covered calls on the way up and on the way down.
I can hear.
Can you hear me? Great.
Repeat your question.
My question was that, and this is just so I can get my understanding right. If something is worth 60 and you're buying it for $4, so you're covering the profit up to 60. If the value goes up to 70, 80 like that, you're saying you only get the profit, the benefit up to the value of 64.
Yes.
Right. On the way down, then if you're covering it for 55 and again it's $4, that means that you benefit from it going down to. So that's what I want to clarify on the way down. You said you cover up to 51.
Yeah. So what happened is, you cover up to 51 because you got $400, right? Okay. So when you sell the covered calls, right, you are making some money, right? You are getting the premium from the buyer. So buyer spent $400 to give to you, right? To exercise, to buy those stocks, right? In the future, right? So if the AMD stock went down, let's say 45 or 40, right? Because some bad earnings, you are getting $400, right? So, you sell the stock, you sell the covered call when the stock was at 55, correct? So 55, then you get $400 premium. The 55 minus 400, what's your loss? Your loss is anything goes beyond 51 is your loss.
Okay, so because you're only covered up to the loss down to 50.
Yeah, because then it's not covered. So let's say the MD become 45, 51 minus 45, $600 loss. So if you have 100 stocks, you have a $600 loss. Yes. So there's no way you can attend that. It is there.
So you're basically saying that you're covering yourself up to a 50. So 41 loss, right? So 51 is the value of it gone. So 49. So you mean, so if you're covering yourself to the value of 51 to 55 less 4, that means that anything, yeah, like you said, so anything below 51 is the loss.
It's a loss. It's a loss. Yeah, even covered call cannot help you. So what I'm saying is covered call is a good way to make recurring income. You know, remember, if you guys remember, there are some stocks which always move in the range, right? Always, if you look at their monthly graph, or you look at, when I say monthly graph, weekly, look from last few years. I mean, like big bellwether, like AT&T, for example, right? It's always in 30s, right? It's always in late 20s or 30s. Right? One example I'm giving you. But then, you know, if they are not moving, if they don't have much volatility, you may not get much premium. That's another trade-off you are making. So if you really need good premium, you need to buy the stock which has good volatility, which has good beta, right? So yeah, so that's one of the things you have to.
So is it right to say that covered call is a strategy for stocks which you are okay with holding it for long, even if they go down in short term?
Oh yeah. Covered call is very good. In fact, we know what you can do is, let's say, I'll continue with the same example of AMD, right? So AMD become 45 after the earning. You have $600 loss, right? But if you sell the covered call at 45, which is, let's say, at the time now you are getting the chance, you are, let's say, hypothetically, you are now selling the covered call of 50. Okay. Now you are assuming that I'm ready to let go with this stock when it goes above 50, right? I'm okay with that. So you sell a covered call of strike price 50 with a premium of $300, right? So you will get what? So when let's say next time the earning comes up, stock becomes 60. So what you will get now? You will get strike price money, which is up to 50, plus premium, which is $3, which is 53. You'll get the profit till 53, and your stock will depart from you.
No, but if the stock price goes, let's say that I bought the stock at 50, and I'm selling it at a premium of $4 at 60, strike price of 60. But at the earning, stock goes down at 40, right? I am not required to sell that stock, right? Essentially, I'll still get the premium and I can hold the stock at 40.
Yes, you are right. Those stock will stay with you. Yeah, you are right.
If my position on AMD is like saying, okay, I'm holding this for next 4 years, I'm not going to sell it because I think it's a good stock. At the 4 years, it might be 80 or 90. So I'm just going to hold it even if it goes down in short term.
Yes.
So then covered call makes sense for those stocks, right?
Yeah, actually covered call. Yeah, you are right. Actually, you'll have the stock. Your stocks will not go away, and then you will because what happens is, okay. One of the important things you guys have to know is only when the stocks on the day of when somebody is buying the stock, right? Call or put. Okay, so let's say you are selling a call, right? Somebody is buying, right, on the other side of the table. As a call holder, I can only buy the stock from you when it's in the money, right? So I'll take the example of AMD, which is 60, right? So if I sell that, only when the stock goes about 60 and above, your stocks will go away from you, right? You have to exercise that option, and the buyer has a two choice, whether he can buy the stock from you, or he can exercise early. Early means he can close out his position early. In that case, but in your case, what happens is your stocks will go, because what happens is there's so much buyer in the market. As soon as the stocks are in the money and you wait till the expiration date, your 100 stocks will definitely go away from your portfolio. So you will get the profit up to $64. Now let's come back to the example where the AMD is now in 40s, right? Of course, stocks will not go away from you. You will have the stock, and you are in the loss right now. So what do you do? But at this point, you have to keep it, right? If you trust the stock. But what I'm suggesting is, if that is the low end of the cycle, you don't want to sell covered call at the time. You know why? Because the stocks may go up to 60 and you will just get the partial profit. You understand, right? Hope it clears the question you asked.
So I have another question. Why in money is more riskier than out of money? Can you explain that with an example?
Not risky. I would say they're more expensive. Stocks in general is risky anyway, regardless how much money you spend. If you so we can talk on an Apple example, right? This example, right? This is good. So all the stock price which are in the white, they are out of the money, correct? And how much money I'm spending, right? So think about this. Next week I want to buy Apple. Okay, let's say earnings is coming up. Okay, okay, during the earning, by the way, the volatility is very high. Stocks are not cheap, right? They're expensive. But let's say you want to buy Apple for 1 week. What do you do? For 322.50, how much you're spending? Only $67 you're spending to buy one option, call option of Apple for 1 week. Now, the caveat is you're hoping that in a week, Apple will go above 322.5 and above, and your premium. So your premium is 0.67, right? So let's add that up, right? So what is the exact amount? Exact amount is 323.17. So up to 323.17, it has to go above that price to you to be in profit. Otherwise, you are in loss. Hope is clear, this example, right? So in the money,
Yes.
the more you go in the money, the more you spend. But then, you know, at the end of the day, you don't want to buy so much in the money. Never. I will never recommend it. Either you want to buy either near the money or out of the money. Why? Because of course, I don't want to spend too much money. And at the same time, as I suggested, I never buy this option. I'll never do that. I never buy. Even for the and you know, when you guys buy for earnings, let's say the next week earnings is coming, this is nothing but a gamble. So you can play gamble, nobody's stopping you. Play gamble in Vegas, play gamble here. So that's, I'll never do that, and I'll never advise that. And then if somebody is there's so many strategies, advanced option strategies which you can learn, where you can have spread. We can do spread, which is a very, very advanced topic. But then I would say in your free time, you can look into it, look into the YouTube tutorials, understand that, where you have a limited risk, limited gain, and you know, you can still make money, and you don't have to buy 100 stock of Apple, right? So, yeah.
So that's great, Jeet. Would it be possible for you to direct to some good YouTube links which you think should be good for a deeper understanding? Because on YouTube we have like thousands of videos.
Yes.
Much of information there. So anything that specific you think that should be a good starting point or good to do or something. So if you can add that in slides.
Yeah, I will do that. I'll make one reference in the end. I'll add that. I don't. Yeah, I did not do that. So you know, let me do it, and then I'll share with you, Raj.
And Jeet, also can you please share the recording? I joined late, but I want to go through it, please.
Yeah, and no worries, guys. I mean, you can always connect me in WhatsApp personally. I mean, that's fine. I mean, I can understand that for the beginners, it's not easy to understand. And to be frank, it takes years of learning and understanding to get very comfortable with options. So, again, don't be surprised if you don't understand. It will not make much sense. But then people who are only doing paper trading, still they may not understand if they are really not burning with the real money, because that's only they'll understand their you know, from their experience. So I would say if you have to experience, start with a smaller stock. Start with a stock like AMD, right? Because this is $50 stock, right? Don't play with options of Tesla. Don't play with options of which are few $100 Netflix. I will never recommend that. Google, I will never recommend that. Even I'm not doing. I knew options for like 15 years. Still, I'm not playing with that. Maybe I did not build up that courage yet. So maybe everybody has their own risk factor. So I'll leave it up to you.
Thanks, Jeet. Can I ask you a quick question? Do you know what do you recommend in terms of what's worked for you in terms of your, like, what did you notice over the years that worked for you? Like, what time of the day or any particular tips you can give us? Like, we can.
Yeah. Right. Sure. And that's the reason why I added this slide, which is a covered call, right? Covered call is a very good way of not only hedging our portfolio, but making the recurring income. So, so given a very good example, right? Like AMD, right? Think about this. Any stock which is making, let's say 15%, let's say we can take an example of S&P, right? So let's say if you put your money 100K into S&P, right? S&P might give you 10%, 8 to 10% average, right? What was the average, right? That's the average you might get. But if you have in stocks, let's say 500 stocks of AMD, what you can do is on monthly wise, on weekly wise, you can sell the covered calls against those stocks, right? What you have. And you can keep collecting the premium. So even if you collect 1 or 2% in a month, right? Let's say 2% in a month you are collecting, right, of your total stock. then you will be collecting 20 to 25% of your total stocks what you are having, right? It means you are beating the S&P, right, 200% or 250%, right? So I'm giving one example, right, how you can use covered call to make income and to hedging a portfolio. So this is what I do in some of my stocks. But what I am doing is I'm also doing credit spread, which is an advanced topic actually for this session. But that's what I am also doing because, and I am also selling the put. Selling put is also an advanced topic. But let's say, I'll give a hypothetical example of, if people know selling put, right? Let's say market went down. So I would say the March 3rd week was the perfect time when the market hit bottom and all, right? At that time, then somebody has to have a courage of selling put at that time, right? That, you know, what you do is when you sell put, you are buying the stocks at lower than the current price, right? So let's say, for example, AMD came down to 40, right? Around 40 during that time. So if I had sell the put at the time of 40, right, or 35, and for the next one month expiration, I would have gotten the stocks in $35, right? Because what happens, you need to have that much of money to buy, right? When you sell the put, you need to have money in your portfolio to buy 100 stocks of that put, of that option. So it means for AMD, you need to have $5,000 as cash sitting in your portfolio. You may not want to use margin money. Margin money, again, I will not recommend to use because of many reasons, because of margin calls, if people might have faced it during this time. It's very common. So yeah.
So can you talk more about that writing put? Like, I don't think you covered that in your.
No, writing put is an advanced topic, so I did not cover it.
I
Again,
think
this is
the
more...
time will be up, Jeet. So
Yeah. Maybe I would say we can definitely maybe do some build-up session, but then, or maybe we can connect another smaller forum where people are interested, right? I mean, we are actually looking for the people who are interested, who are on similar wavelength, right? I mean, I wouldn't mind having those discussions with them, right?
Sure. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for attending, and it's my pleasure. Thanks, Raj, once again. And,
thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
You too. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Thank you.